You finished the time machine.
All right, Holly. We'll start with taking some seismic readings inside the mouth of the cave.
Something's happening. It's beautiful.
What is that?
And then it plunged them in the valley deep below, land of the lost. Let's come on, man.
No. The scream on Land of the Lost is a lot more monotone. It's
Yeah, you gotta remember it's white people.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
We're kind of blasé about going over this waterfall.
Drinking tea.
That's what always made me laugh about the theme song. They go over the waterfall and just
Well,
like really?
I mean, you've seen the show. They were clearly high.
Oh, now we're getting into those black people do it this way, white people do it this way jokes. Wait a minute. Let me get my leather suit on real quick. You know, when black people go down a waterfall, they do it like this. Ah! White people go down a waterfall, they do it like this.
It's not so much a waterfall as it is a couple of rocks shot very close up to make it look like a waterfall.
You know what, Carlisle? You got a point, because maybe they weren't excited because it was the fakest waterfall you've ever seen in your life.
It's everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, there's one staying on the rocks going, "Hey, man, watch out, there's a waterfall." Oh, man, shit, I wouldn't have gone over that waterfall. Honey, go get me some popcorn. Then there's someone else over there going, "I seen it. I done seen him go over the waterfall. I saw the whole thing."
I hate to correct you all, but I don't think you've ever seen black people go over a waterfall. That's not a situation you're going to find any of us in.
Oh, yeah. Shit, we barely go to Wet and Wild.
Not a lot of black people with the whitewater rafting facility.
No, shit, we might get our hair wet.
Yeah, it's not called the black water rafting facilities. Duh.
Hey, you
We
ain't ever
put that name there for a reason.
Yeah.
Down the down low.
No, black people never end up in Land of the Lost. So we ain't going to be on no waterfalls anywhere. Now, white people might end up in the Land of the Lost, which is called a wrong turn in the ghetto, but that's about it.
Although if we did, you can guarantee that some of those allosaurs are going to be barbecued at some point.
Oh, yeah, we cooking up dinosaurs.
But that's called the land of honey we're lost.
There you go.
Yeah.
But not, so now we got this remake here.
It's not a remake.
It's not a remake.
I'm sorry. Well, it's a
Reboot.
It's
not a reboot.
It's an adaptation of the 1974 television show.
Is no one going to say it's not an adaptation?
Yeah, it's an adaptation.
All right.
I'll give him that.
I was trying. I hope we could take it.
You got to get your nomenclature correct.
A reimagining.
Adaptation is kind of apt here because it's definitely not a continuation. It's definitely not a remake. It's a reimagining.
Well,
to say the least.
say reimagining denotes that there was some imagination put in it, and that was clearly not there.
Maybe
more of a
but
satire.
You may not be happy with what they imagined.
No, I think it's a satire more than anything else because these guys clearly loved the original show, and yet at the same time they feel no particular need to remake the original show.
I'm sorry. Okay, this is where I got to call. I'm not necessarily calling you on this, but that entire notion is like a big basis of what I hate about this film. Let me just say first off that like this was an event we went to see. It wasn't just a screening. Harry knows through this, and man, I just want to shake his hand and pat him on the back because him and Universal, they did us right. They gave us free booze, free food. They brought the creators there.
Well, they had to bring free booze because they were like, there's going to be critics at this movie. We're going to have to get them drunk before the show.
I mean, you had Marty Krofft from Sid and Marty Krofft there, man. I mean, that's about as cool as you can get for something like this.
Sid couldn't make it. He was hanging out with his hoes. He was all laid back, straight tripping.
And
like
I almost
he does.
forgot the capper right before the movie. We had a video from Will Ferrell and Danny McBride. I guess they couldn't be bothered to show up themselves.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in lieu of actually coming, they made a real funny video addressing the crowd.
And they made a really funny video about how they couldn't be bothered to come.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell was pretty much saying, "I'm not going to that shithole town of Austin, right?"
Well,
That's
it was
exactly what he said.
Yeah, it was him saying, "Hey, Austin, I wish you could be there." And Danny McBride going,
Don't
"That's
lie."
bullshit. You know, you just said you didn't want to go to that shithole. Why are you gonna lie to these people?"
Which I don't think is a joke. I think that's how it really happened.
But there's this point that every time that they would go, man, we wish you could be there, and their mouths got fuzzy. I was like, Austin! No, they didn't do that.
So that was kind of the funny part before the movie.
Actually, everything, that all that setup I just told you about, and the first 3 minutes of the movie, all that was awesome. Everything after that, dinosaur shit. I mean, and let me tell you, and let me go on about what was one thing that was really bad about it was that you had the director there and the guy Michael Giacchino. Is that
Michael
his name?
Giacchino.
Yeah. Okay, who did the music? Does music?
And the director is Brad Sieberling.
Sieberling,
who did Lemony Snicket and Casper, so he's used to doing sort of.
Yeah, he's used to doing mediocre stuff. But there was a lot of talk with Marty Krofft right there. A lot of lip service paid to like how much they loved the old show and wanted to capture this about it and wanted to capture that about it. And then what they captured was, well, there's dinosaurs in it, and there is a guy named Rick Marshall. There's a Will and a Holly, but other than that,
there's a lot of the old show in there. But the original premise of the old show is completely different. The original premise is that a family accidentally falls into the land of the lost, and it's an adventure show that is very science fiction-y. I mean, they had these old Star Trek writers at the time writing these episodes. It was science fiction for kids. It was adventure. This is done as a comedy, but it's got all the things. I mean, you say, they had dinosaurs. There's Sleestaks. There's a character that Enoch, which was from the original series.
Well, let's talk about what the original series is. Sid and Marty Krofft did this show, ran from 1974 to 1976, and it's the Marshall family. Let me see, what was it? Marshall, Will, and Holly.
Yeah.
Which are on a routine expedition. And so they go over this waterfall into this time vortex, which is a land of mixed dimensions. You have dinosaurs mixed with lizard creatures, mixed with some Greek mythology creatures who show up.
And aliens.
And aliens and all this kind of weird stuff. It's an amalgamation of all these different elements. And back then, it was kind of a serious science fiction show for kids.
You're done with the worst special effects you could possibly imagine.
They were awesome.
Oh, yeah, they went between, like, badly superimposed blue screen effects to, like, the dinosaurs would be stop motion in one scene, and when they did them close up, they would be puppets.
However, they did enhance it by having the worst actors imaginable also.
Oh, yeah. I think the show wouldn't have been anywhere near as good without the actors going, oh my God, what will we do now?
They were acting against nothing. I mean, they would be
Well,
scenes,
they do that now. Of course, yeah, I'm thinking about the prequels now.
Star Wars prequels.
They're pretty much the same thing there.
Well,
with a bigger budget.
Before any of this got started, they were running episodes of the original Land of the Lost, on the screen. And watching even scenes where they're just acting with each other, not against something, just with each other. You're like, wow, this is worse than community theater.
And wow, this Chaka kid is fucking creepy.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. The Pakuni, whatever, they ran into like these ape creatures that talk. And, I mean, look, you can talk about the special effects, but when you're a kid and you're watching that, it really did spark your imagination. I remember when I was watching it, some of the episodes actually even scared me, and I was wondering how they were able to put that on TV for kids on Saturday morning. I
enjoyed it when I was a kid because it actually injected a little bit of real science fiction. I mean, hell, it was pretty much the same writers from the original Star Trek, DC Fontana, people like that.
Yeah, he's right. They had a whole bunch of like noted science fiction writers come in and into the show.
They did crazy stuff like the Civil War veteran episode where this 150-year-old Civil War veteran is living in a cave eating these magic hallucinatory mushrooms.
Oh yeah, they had. It was.
That stuff was in there.
I know, but that's a cross between the people working on the show actually doing mushrooms and a low budget. And like, hey, they just wrapped the Civil War picture on the next lot. Go steal some of those costumes, and we're gonna make an episode. But hurry, go right now.
Yeah, and get them back before anybody notices. But then they did episodes like where they had Medusa come in. You find out that Greek mythology is real in another dimension. They had a guy. The one that scared me was a guy who was made out of lights. And every time
they showed that one.
They were like ching-a-ling-ling-ling-ling, and they got and then they got. He was trying to get home or something.
Monster,
yeah.
They had the mechanical dinosaur and.
It was a cool show.
I love how like when y'all talk about it, it makes it sound cool. But having just rewatched it again 2 days ago, no, that shit ain't cool at all.
It's like one of those things when it was meant for little kids, and it was for little kids. It was much better than any of the shit coming out at the time as far as science fiction goes. That's all we're saying. Sure, it doesn't hold up.
See, now talking about this movie here, that's what really kind of disappoints me because they got bigger special effects now to do what would have been cool back then with better special effects, but they decided to make a Will Ferrell comedy out of it, and they're not only doing that, but they're not really sticking to the original storyline of the TV show.
And that's where this movie really actually has its biggest problems. I actually like the movie. I'm probably the only one in the room that actually liked the movie, but I enjoyed it. But the problem with it is that the science fiction of the movie sucks. The adventure of the movie sucks. That stuff was so uninteresting. The only thing that worked for me, surprisingly, was the Will Ferrell comedy. Normally, I hate Will Ferrell comedy, but I found this really funny. I laughed quite a bit, but every time we got into an adventure scene and there wasn't a joke going on, I started looking at my watch going, they really need to kind of get back to something funny again.
Oh, man, that baffles me that you felt that way.
Yeah,
I would never have expected that from you.
I didn't expect it either. I literally was sitting there thinking it would be the other way around, that maybe I'll enjoy the adventure of this film, but I don't like Will Ferrell's comedy. But something about the script and something about how they did the comedy here, it made me laugh. I don't know what it was, but it connected with me.
It felt like somebody read the Wikipedia entry about the show, maybe watched a few episodes with the sound off, and then just had the people who write all of Will Ferrell's other movies come in and just write over all that shit. It's Will Ferrell running around screaming again. But I didn't think that was funny. It was 20 minutes in before I was like, you know what? I don't want to see any more Will Ferrell movies. I mean, I give him the benefit of the doubt here and there because he'll come back and do something good. But, man, you've turned into the new Adam Sandler. All you can do is the same exact bit, and that's what he's doing again here.
Greetings, Chaka. Chaka, I'm Dr. Rick Marshall. Dr. Rick Marshall. Okay? Let's take a look at that ankle. Does that sound good? Keep in mind, Chaka, although I'm a doctor, I'm not a licensed physician. Okay? I'm just going to take a little look. How dare you? How dare you? I mean you no harm. I mean you no harm.
Marshall.
Don't you run from me, you little... Hey! Oh, now you're dead.
It's just my biggest pet peeve with a movie, and I'm probably speaking out of terms here because I didn't see the movie, but it just seems like you get these people who say, you know what, we really love the original source material that this came from, so we're going to say fuck it and not do anything like it.
Okay, this is the same model as the Ben Stiller Starsky and Hutch movie. I mean, it's that same hey,
kind of.
Well, we got this property from the 70s that everybody loved. We got two new actors, one who's blonde, one who's Jewish with curly hair, and we got the car. So now we'll just write a script that has nothing to do with the rest of it, but as long as we got these props, we'll get people to come.
Starsky and Hutch, though, had the advantage of being a parody of the original show. They were actually making fun of it. Here, they're not making fun of the concepts of the original show. They may be having fun with it, but they're not making jokes about it.
See, I don't agree with that.
They kind of are.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I mean,
I think they're going, yeah, we loved it, but sure, it's stupid. I mean,
yeah,
and
the idea that the entry point is from some like little cheap carnival out in the middle of the desert with just some redneck, a stupid hit guy who takes them through, and then suddenly they magically end up in this spot. It's like they're totally making fun. Like they just didn't give a shit. And really, to find out that Brad Sieberling, the director, did Lemony Snicket, it makes me think, okay, this guy is somebody who's easily intimidated by his stars and let them just walk all over him.
It's totally what it feels like too. And but it was lazy writing to begin with.
Yes.
I mean, the whole thing is like, they don't even try. I mean, we've got a situation here we put our characters in. Fuck it, who cares? I mean, there's even a whole thing at the end that is like, you're expecting them to ramp it up into a really big joke, and then it's just a poop joke. It's like a spectacularly lame one. You're like, wow, really? You wrote your main character into that situation, and that's what you came up with? I mean, it's embarrassing at points watching this, what they came up with. The only good things I can say about this all have to do with the audio. The sound editing,
the music is awesome.
Well, the music editing is great. Like, the Lost part is the only good part of this film. Like, Land of the Lost part works because same sound guy. But the sound editing was really good, too. All the, like, creature effects and everything. Man, that theater fucking shook. Every time that T-Rex was on screen, I was like, oh, fuck. And not because he